Hello, movie friends. Welcome to There Will Be Movie Reviews. I am your host, Ryan Holmes, and today with me, I have again from the third time, Cole Daxon. Cole, say hi to everyone.
Hi, everyone. Ryan, it's a pleasure to be back on the show. I'm super excited for today's show topic.
Oh, yeah, it
Would you
is.
like to introduce it?
I will, yeah. So instead of movies, which we usually discuss, a couple times we've discussed other television shows, but today we're going to be talking about probably the greatest television show of all time, Breaking Bad.
Oh,
Everyone's favorite. Who doesn't
Breaking
love this
Bad.
show? I can't think of anyone that would not like this show. It's incredible. It's
Ladies and gentlemen, strap in because it's going to be a bumpy ride.
that is indeed it is going to be bumpy because the entire series of Breaking Bad is an
Oh, yeah,
emotional, bumpy, comedic, dramatic, tragic ride. It is
it
insane.
really is.
So much
It
emotion.
checks all the boxes.
It really it sure does. Yeah, and I'm super hyped to be talking about
Me
this
too.
show. All right. But first, before we begin with the discussion of Breaking Bad, we will be talking about the movie news of the week in the past week. So, strap in, Cole, because
All
let's
right.
begin with the
You
movie.
guys will get my live reaction to the movie news.
All right, so let's start it off. A Quiet Place 2 hits theaters and makes
Oh,
48
okay.
million at the box office.
Wait, hold on.
Hitting-
That movie's out now?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
What? Okay. First, I was kind of
What?
just gonna I was gonna like fake reactions to try and be funny, but this is actually wow. That's super cool. I gotta watch that. I love the first movie.
I know, it was great. We saw it together, I think. Didn't we?
Yeah, we
We saw
did.
it at the gem,
At
yeah. In
yeah. Oh
Keswick,
my
yeah.
gosh, bruh.
Yeah, and yeah, it made already opening weekend 48 million at the box office. And so right now it is strapped in to hit number 1 so far this year for
Wow.
films. It's going to be they think it's going to be Godzilla vs Kong cuz that's the one
I didn't
that's
even watch that movie.
yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch A Quiet Place too. With the I loved it. John Krasinski did a great job, and apparently it's just as good. This one,
That's so good to hear.
yeah, I'm really
I was a
excited.
little I was a
Sequels,
little
sequels,
skeptical about
yeah,
it. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Do you know where you can watch it? For me and for the audience, of course.
well, I think right now I don't know if we can watch it because it is in theaters and only in the U.S. so far. That's the thing.
Oh,
So we
hold
might
on.
have
I'm
to
gonna
wait
look
a
it
little
up.
bit. Yeah.
Where to watch the Quiet Place 2? Streaming how and when? The Emily Blunt movie.
That is not much help.
Uh, how to watch it? You can buy it on DVD and Blu-ray, or you can rent it on Amazon. Apparently,
Oh, sweet. All right.
yeah.
There you go, guys. For if
There
you
you go,
want to
everyone.
go watch A Quiet Place too.
I
Cole,
might even do that tonight.
yeah, I got some even better news. So,
Let's hear it.
the third Jurassic World film, the director hints that the
Oh,
trailer will be released very, very soon in the coming weeks.
oh my gosh. I'm excited for that.
I
That's gonna
know,
be cool.
I know you're a huge fan of the Jurassic Park
Ryan,
trilogy and the Jurassic
this
World.
movie news
Yeah.
just keeps getting better and better. I was honestly ready to be like, "Oh my gosh, what great news!" But this news is great.
Thank you so much. All right, so third news update of the week, third little snippet. Eternals trailer has just dropped. I know it's not that exciting. I know it kind of, you're not too happy about that, but
Care.
yeah, I know the Eternals trailer has dropped though. What are your thoughts? Have you seen it?
I have not seen it actually. I have begun to lose faith in the Marvel Cinematic Universe's abilities. I'm just not looking forward to as many movies as I used to be. Like the Eternals, I don't really care about. Thor, what is it?
Or
War and Love or
Love and Thunder?
Love and Thunder. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness.
Spider-Man: No Way
And
Home.
I'm looking forward to that. So there's like a couple things that I am looking forward to and a couple things that I'm not looking forward to as much. But I feel like I'm gonna have to watch everything or else I'm not gonna understand it. Which at first didn't feel like a chore in the MCU, but now it almost does.
Yeah.
At least for me personally, I'm just not excited about some of the newer stuff as I am about others.
I don't think a lot of people are. I've seen like comments on just like Instagram about just like people's thoughts on the new trailer for Shang-Chi or Eternals, and they're just like they don't really care.
I'm so upset that Chadwick Boseman died. First of all, he was a great actor,
Course.
and a great guy.
Yeah.
But
Rest in peace.
I really would have loved to see a Black Panther 2. The first movie was so good, and they were planning for a sequel, so it would have been incredible to see.
Yeah.
But it's just terrible.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up with the movie news. Thor 4 Love and Thunder has reportedly wrapped filming in Sydney, Australia. That's crazy. I know.
That's awesome.
It is
We were
awesome.
just talking about that
We
too.
were, yeah, I know. But it's interesting that they're doing it in Sydney, Australia, because there's no COVID there. So they
Yeah.
don't have to worry about doing anything there. But
Oh,
like,
that's actually true.
so
That's
but
going to be
yeah.
us soon.
And unless, let's hope. But unless I feel like maybe like Thor 4 Love and Thunder is kind of set in like Sydney, Australia world, maybe. Like maybe the film is set there. Who knows? Or maybe they're just doing some just going to studio there.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like if it
Right.
was set there.
Yeah, that would be cool. Next, Aaron Taylor Johnson, who played Quicksilver, in Avengers: Age of Ultron, has been cast as Kraven the Hunter for the Spider-Man series. Do you know who Kraven the Hunter is?
No.
He's a jungle villain from the Spider-Man universe. He's one of Spider-Man's biggest foes.
Does he dress up like a spider monkey? Spider monkey man?
In a way, I guess so. He dresses up as like a
No way, actually.
No.
Oh, okay.
He dresses up as like some weird like wildebeest type getup.
That's still kind of cool sounding.
Yeah. But he's like
Yeah,
a
that
huge
kind of be
dude.
cool to see.
Yeah.
He's got a sniper in this picture.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And
That'd be cool to see.
But it's the guy who played Quicksilver in Age of Ultron with Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch.
Whoa.
I
Hold
know.
on.
I know.
That's cool.
It is cool. Yeah.
So do you think it'll be Quicksilver's character like
No.
coming back or something?
I don't think so. That'd be
Well,
really
why would
weird.
why would they use the same actor then?
I
That
don't
doesn't
know.
make any sense.
They've done it before. I mean, but not in the same universe. But it is kind of technically in the same universe. Because like Spider-Man, it's gonna be Spider-Man they'll be facing off against Tom Holland.
That's weird. Oh, is this like part of the new contract with Sony type deal?
Yeah, that is later in the news. Here, I'll tell you.
Okay.
Here's something cool. I don't know if you heard about this. Speaking of Spider-Man villains, it is reported that Willem Dafoe will be cast as the main villain in Spider-Man: No Way Home, who played Green Goblin in the Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy.
Yo,
He's the one that
is
goes
cool.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's what's his name? Osborn. Not William, right?
No, his name is Willem Dafoe, who plays Norman Osborn.
Right, Norman Osborn. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's cool.
He always goes Spider-Man.
Well, yeah, and he's like, "Do you know how much I've sacrificed?"
Oh yeah.
No, you can't do this.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always just like, first we rip out his heart.
Wait. So, you said Kraven the Hunter was his name?
Kraven.
So is he not getting cast for No Way Home?
I don't know. I think they're gonna do it. They're gonna do a Sinister Six thing.
I don't know what Sinister Six is.
Sinister Six is like Doc Ock, Electro, Sandman, Green Goblin, Mysterio. Sorry,
Memento. Aren't they getting the guy who played Electro back?
Yeah, Jamie Foxx.
Okay, that sounds kind of freaking cool.
Yeah, same with the guy who played Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2, like from 2004, the one.
What if
Tobey
Corvo the
Maguire.
Hunter is going to be from like a different
Craven.
Craven the Hunter?
Orville
Sorry.
Redenbacher the Hunter.
No. What if Craven the Hunter is like Quicksilver if he becomes a bad guy from a different multiverse and it like ties into Multiverse of Madness?
Bruh,
Like
I don't
that.
know. That'd be
And
so
then
weird.
Elizabeth Olsen, since she's kind of part of the Multiverse of Madness, is going to be like, oh my gosh, Quicksilver, my brother, he's evil. You know what I mean?
I don't know. That's all messed up. It's turning into like the X-Men series. That's just
Yeah.
like all messed up and just like
I was
weird.
speaking of that, I was really disappointed how they solved Endgame's problem with time travel. It was so lame. They could have done something way cool. We haven't even talked about Breaking Bad yet.
I know. Well, I still have one more thing to talk about.
What?
For the movie
You still
news.
have one more? All right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop. This
you,
isn't the
just,
Endgame episode.
you just started talking about Endgame out of nowhere. You're just
Well,
like
it's because like it's weird how they put time travel into the
I know.
cinematic universe, and now they're using multiverses, so
I
it's
know.
like same energy for me.
Who knows?
right,
All
let's
right.
hear it.
Last thing. Sadly, Paddington 2 loses #1 spot of the film on Rotten Tomatoes after one bad review from 2017. It was at 100%, then it went down to 99%.
No, Paddington 2. You know, I left the negative review.
That was you?
Yeah, it
What
was
did
me.
what did you write down?
I said, I don't really like it that much. And they found it, I guess.
I've seen the first one, but it's pretty funny. It's a cute movie, honestly.
I haven't seen any of them.
They're British movies.
Actually, I mean, I've seen the second one. Yeah, that's why I left the review.
Oh, this is going to be a great podcast. This is going to be so much fun. All right, that's it for the movie news, everyone. Thank you so much for listening in. All right, let's begin with Breaking Bad. Oh my goodness. All right,
oh my goodness.
Breaking Bad stars Bryan Cranston, Aaron Paul, Anna Gunn, Betsy Brandt, R.J. Mitt, Dean Morris, Bob Odenkirk, Giancarlo Bobby O, B.O., Giancarlo Esposito, and Jonathan Banks.
Giancarlo Esposito. Far Cry 6 confirmed release date October 7th, everyone. Mark your calendars.
Thank you for all the gamers that are listening.
This is the gaming news section with Cole. Hey, everyone. Cole here. Gaming news.
No.
Don't miss E3.
It's enough. All right. So the show was created by Vince Gilligan, the guy who probably is so underrated for his talents of being the creator and director of multiple episodes of the show, I think.
If I met Vince Gilligan in real life, I would kiss him on the lips.
Of course. I can see that. Also, the show won 16 Emmys. I'm not going to say all the 16 Emmys that it won, but you can, you can assume that it won Best Outstanding Drama Series, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actress. Anna Gunn, who played Skylar, actually won two
Skylar.
2 Emmys. Yeah.
She sucks.
Everyone hates Skylar. Also, Aaron Paul, who plays Jesse Pinkman, has won multiple Emmys, and same with Bryan Cranston, who played Walter White.
I love those guys.
Walter, yeah, and obviously
Walter. Okay.
Obviously, it won, and obviously it won outstanding writing for a series.
Oh,
because
writing in that show is insane.
We'll get into it, but yeah. So this show was an AMC original series that aired from 2009 to 2013. This show did not overstay its welcome by going on for like over 10 seasons, which it could have. It could definitely stay on, but it made sure only 5 seasons of this precious show.
Oh, by the way, spoiler alert for Breaking Bad.
Oh,
because we're going to talk about the whole shebang today.
We are.
Should we talk about it in seasons?
What I was thinking of is we're gonna discuss the plot and the writing, the characters, the themes of the show. I have some questions for you, and then some trivia.
All right. And then we can just comment along.
We can comment along. Sounds good to me. Yeah.
Let's get the ball rolling.
All right, sounds good. So, Breaking Bad A high school
Breaking Bad.
chemistry teacher diagnosed with inoperable lung cancer turns to manufacturing and selling methamphetamine in order
What the
to
heck?
secure his family's future.
He's just chasing the bag. You can't hate a man.
I know. So this show is it's so neat and simple with this plot relating to family and drug dealing. So let's talk about this, Cole. Let's talk. Let's begin by talking about the plot of this show and the writing. So would you like to start?
All right, so the writing in the show goes a little something like this. Some minuscule detail will happen in season 1, and then all the way in season 3, you're like, oh my God, everything makes sense now. That was in season 1. And then everything relates back to certain events. It's like you can see the parallels. You can see everything being like, oh my gosh, that's like this. This happened because of this. You see this happen, and then this. If you don't mind me giving an example,
Yeah.
this is a spoiler. So Combo, Jesse Pinkman's friend, gets shot by the little kid, and then that little kid turns out to be the adopted child of Jesse's future love interest. And we see how that plays out for Jesse having one of his friends shot by a little kid who was manipulated by drug dealers to do their working. But then those drug dealers were hired by the same boss as him, and everything in that show always ties back to something. And it's just incredible to see how they've done this incredible like world building in that show. It's crazy. It's awesome.
It is crazy. There is so much
and that's just one example.
There is so much detail from storyline to storyline, not only with dealing with Walter and his family, and then Jesse with his self problems with his own family and how they don't really accept him, and then his love interests that Walter constantly is just killing off, basically. And
literally.
Yeah. And then but you understand their family right from the beginning, and you understand Walter's relationship with his wife and how he's not really, his life is just sucks. He's a chemistry teacher that nobody really cares about. He's a nobody in society, and he just
like
finds
Bob Odenkirk.
Bob Odenkirk is not a nobody.
Yes, he is.
He's a somebody.
His new movie.
Oh,
Nobody.
Yeah.
Did that go over your head?
That did go over my head. That's a good one. That was a good one. All right. So, but it's also, yeah, along the lines of Walter. His life is just, it's terrible. He's got what was it, stage 4 terminal cancer or stage 3? What, I don't know what it was, what stage or whatever. But
I don't know.
He's got
cancer. He's gonna die,
and he's gonna die. He's gonna die soon. So he's just realizing that how sad his life is, and he can't get his wife is in bed. He's not being able to successfully.
So then he fucking kills a bunch of people.
That's not all of it. That's not all of it. But he doesn't do that just yet. But he realizes from doing a ride along with Hank, his brother-in-law, Dean Norris.
Absolutely incredible actor, Dean Norris.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. He is an absolutely incredible actor. But and he realizes that the money that he can make by creating methamphetamine, and it's crazy to see the progress that he goes through along the way of just being able to do it being able to create methamphetamine in a trailer or in a motorhome to finally be the greatest drug lord in all of New Mexico.
Well, it's also about like proving he gets a chance to prove and utilize how good he is at chemistry, which he hasn't really been able to use ever since Gray Matter.
Yeah, I was about to say Gray Matter. He's kind of kicked out of that company in a way. He was the creator of it, and he hasn't been. He's having money troubles. He has 2 jobs. He's working at a car wash and with a shitty boss, and he's also a chemistry teacher where he makes like just nothing. He makes just a dime. So and it's, yeah, exactly, as you're saying, he's able to show his passion for chemistry by making methamphetamine and at the same time making bank. So
Just bank.
who wouldn't like to see that? Who wouldn't be entertained by that storyline? And it's interesting to see the casting that they chose too. So Bryan Cranston, uh, who wasn't too popular of an actor, neither was Aaron Paul or Anna Gunn or Betsy Brandt or Morris for that matter. They are all pretty much unknown at that time.
Wasn't
Except,
Bryan Cranston in the Godzilla movie?
yeah, but that was
That
after.
that was after, but yeah.
He was also in Malcolm in the Middle as the dad, and people were kind of skeptical about that because he was just a comedic actor. But
Oh yeah.
they
Malcolm
chose
in the
right.
Middle is canon to Breaking Bad.
Yeah, he obviously did do a great job at portraying Walter White, almost a perfect portrayal, I would say. You can't
Yeah.
do
Who
anything
else
better.
could do that?
I don't know,
You can't you
nobody.
can't even think of anyone.
You can't. But he the relationship between him and obviously uh Walter and Jesse is just incredible. It's not like they have a great relationship too. It's not like they automatically are do well together. They hate each other at times. They despise each other, but they still work together for some reason. And the writing actually does a great job at implicating that and being able to show and storytell how they still have to stick with each other in order to, and they're kind of forced to be. Um,
Yeah, because Walter's a big meanie and he always brings Jesse into it. And
it's
Jesse
true.
always gets sad, and then Walter gets what he wants.
Exactly. Yeah. It's
He's like, Jesse, you have to go to the store to buy drugs so we can make meth. And Jesse's like, but Mr. White, I don't want to go to the store, bitch. And Walter's like, Jesse, shut up, Jesse, go to the store. And Jesse's like, all right, bitch. And then he goes to the store. And
how
then
it
he
happens.
always buys the wrong thing.
Of course, yeah, that happens pretty early on, but like it's also it builds up on this insane intensity with
Oh, yeah.
the
And the
amount.
amount of stress that builds up in the show with all the different plot twists and crazy things that are happening. And not only are they crazy, but they mend so simply into the rest of the show. Like nothing seems too far fetched. It's not too far from realism. It's it's
It's believable too. Yeah, it's plausible. It feels real too. That's the thing, which is when you're dealing with something like this, where a chemistry teacher somehow becomes the biggest drug lord in all of New Mexico, and everyone knows his name is Heisenberg.
oh,
It seems crazy, but this great writing that they have accomplished just makes sense in the side characters that are implicated into the story and implicated into this. Yeah, each episode it's just it builds on itself and gets better and better and better until
there's like no filler episodes either. It's all story development, character development every episode. No,
except for actually no, The Fly is a character development
I'm
episode.
gonna talk about The Fly. I'm
Let's
gonna
talk
talk
about that because as we're talking about plot and writing, we can talk about The Fly. Yeah, you
The
explain that.
Fly. Ladies and gentlemen, Breaking Bad's uh title the worst episode by some, one of the best in my books, okay? I don't understand how people can hate on The Fly. It's such a story rich and character building episode. The experience that Jesse and Walter have together in that episode is just so crazy. We get to see them in such a different state than they usually are. It's more calmed down. You get to hear genuine interaction between the two of them. Walter's kind of expressing his like almost love towards Jesse, feeling like he's a son to him. You get to see more of that. You get to see how Jesse feels about Walter, which kind of isn't the same. He doesn't see him as much of a father figure.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's just kind of like, yeah, don't worry about it. Like when Walter's like, oh, I'm so sorry about Jane. I'm so sorry about all these things. And Jesse's like, oh, it's so horrible. He's not talking to Walter like he's his dad. He's talking to Walter like he's his partner. So he's like, yeah, don't worry about it. It's not your fault. Like there's nothing you could have done. But see, another thing is that Walt feels like he needs to apologize to Jesse so profusely because he's so guilty. And I think the fly in the episode represents Walter's like striving for perfection and almost a little bit of anxiety, because he goes out of the way. He stops doing his job, which he loves and needs to do to like survive, basically, not get kicked out of the business that he's in. He stops it all just to kill a fly. He's so committed to taking down this one little tiny thing.
He's a perfectionist. Yeah.
He is a perfectionist, and that is part of his downfall as well, is that he tries so hard to be a perfectionist that he can't just accept that it's not going to work, and then that's how it all falls apart.
And
so
him,
the fly
yeah,
has such incredible symbolism and like foreshadowing to how things are going to unfold in the future. It's a great episode. It's so amazing. I don't understand why people don't like it. It's
well,
so
I think and another thing you're saying is how the you know the downfall of him too is because of how much of a perfectionist he is, and that's the reason, the reason for like the killings that he has, that he does, and he commits to say towards Jane, because he's afraid, he doesn't want Jesse to get into this lifestyle of shooting heroin and doing all these awful drugs, like, and he's constant, he has a need to be perfect and
control.
and he's committed to this, even though it's something like dealing with drug dealing. He's able to, no matter what, he takes it as an art, and that's what is awesome about that.
Yeah.
He takes it as an art, and he truly thinks it's incredible too, to by making money off of this. And you see how Walter just, he loves it too, and that's also a lot of fun to see too.
It's fun to see, but that is what makes him become so much more evil. Like, for example, letting Jane die. He realizes what it could cost if he leaves her alive and helps her. And he decides, I'm just going to let her die. And he sees the byproduct of what happens with the plane crash, and he just blocks it out. He just doesn't think about it. He hears on the radio that Jane's father was rushed to the hospital from a self-inflicted gunshot, and he just changes the channel and doesn't think about it. It's the perfectionist in him that's like, nope, I don't need to hear that. And I did this. It was a great reason. It worked out. He doesn't realize the effect on others. He doesn't want to. What he did, the amount of pain he put Jesse through, let alone Jane's father, he just tries to numb himself to it. And when he's like under the influence in the Fly episode from the sleeping drugs that Jesse gave him, we see a moment of imperfection spill out when he's like, I'm so sorry, Jesse. I'm so sorry about Jane. He's not like that. And that's why Jesse's like kind of weirded out about it. He's like, yeah, it's fine, Mr. White. So
whatever.
Yeah. And Mr. White's just in shambles because he's under the influence. He's spilling out his imperfections. And that's like one of the only episodes we get to see that.
But I think you only need one episode, honestly.
And see, the thing is, when he spills out his imperfections and realizes that his mistakes, only after that does Jesse end up catching the fly and fulfilling the task. But see, at the end of the show, he doesn't let go of his perfection. And that is what brings everything to the ground. He can't just let go and realize that he's an imperfect person like everyone else. And that's what causes the death of Uncle Hank. He tries to take everyone out. He tries to call someone over to keep everything perfect. And it all falls apart with Hank dying, Jesse being captured. And then only after isolating himself in the woods for all that time does he realize he can be imperfect. He's already made all these mistakes. There's only one thing he can do now. It's go and correct it, even if it means dying and losing the imperfection that he strives so far for. And that's exactly what happens. He has to pay the price by being an imperfect person and dying because of it. But if, like in The Fly, he just calmed down and accepted what happened in his past, the fly would die, and he would have been, the fly would metaphorically die, and everything would have worked out for him. But he couldn't. He had to hold on to it. And I just think the symbolism from that episode is so applicable to everything else that happens in the show. It's just absolutely crazy to think about. It's so well written.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Fly.
The best episode of Breaking Bad, okay?
You think so?
I think it could be. Did you just hear what I said?
Yes, I did hear you what you said.
Do you want me to say it again?
I'm good, thank you. I heard it. No, I know. Yeah, but I understand that it relates back to not only Walter's character being so unfazed, and I think it also it relates back to how you were saying how he gets so unfazed, and that's a main part of his character throughout this. And I think once he realizes that he's gone through, once he discovers that he has cancer, you understand and it makes sense that he would do this and do this to so many people because he has almost nothing to live for. He knows that he's going to die. Whereas you see Jesse has so much to live for and he wants so much to live for. He wants to strive, whereas Walter kind of wants to flow down. And that's where they kind of cross paths and meet in the middle because
That's
whereas
very true.
that's why so you see Jesse and Walter both want the opposite things in a way. And so that's why they have such conflict between each other. And that's why they dislike each other so much, I think, at times. And that's why they don't get along all the time. But it's almost like it's forced for them to be together at the same time. It's been forced upon something. And because they both kind of, I think they just met at a perfect time in each other's lives. And I
Well,
think like
more
what I mean is like it's
more.
kind of coincidental. I think that they met like and
Yeah, it was a recipe for the perfect storm, you know?
yeah, exactly. And that's what's so it's so beautiful, honestly. Like it's so
And
interesting
see,
to watch.
Ryan, let's think about all we've talked about so far. We've basically just been talking about some traits of the writing of the show specifically around just Walter.
Yeah,
There's tons of other characters in the show. We haven't talked about Jesse, we haven't talked about Hank. It's such an in-depth show. It's insane what they can do with just these regular people's lives and adding a little twist on it. The amount of creativity that they can use to pull together such an amazing show.
yeah. Oh, exactly. It's and if you want to talk about like the writing of Jesse and Jesse in general, he's gone through so much. And I don't know. I have a question for you. Do you
Yeah.
think he'll be able to you know, live a finally happy life after
Uh,
what he's gone through and the trauma.
I think we kind of find out the answer in El Camino for the most part. Uh,
I guess, but like still.
I think he'll finally be able to recover. Throughout the show, we've seen him be resilient and strong and be able to come back from everything. I think he's going to be able to do that too, because really, with Walter dying, that was like him being set free. He's finally free from basically the curse of Walter manipulating him through all this time and making Jesse's life so much worse. Jane dying all comes back to Walter, him meeting Walter. Um, uh, what's her name? What's Jesse's other girlfriend's name with the kid?
I know well Brock's a kid.
Yeah, Brock's kid.
Um let's see. I'm not sure her name.
All right, well, doesn't matter. She dies because those guys have to kill her because they captured Jesse and Jesse tried to escape. They got to send a message. She wouldn't have been involved with that if it weren't for Walter, because Walter got the guys with Jesse and they did something to hurt Jesse personally, which they wouldn't have done
Andrea.
had Walter not hired them. Yeah, they kill Andrea because it's Jesse's person, and those guys were hired by Walter. So as much as Walter likes Jesse, he's just so toxic, and he doesn't. It's almost like he doesn't know what to do because, well, again, like the imperfection caused Walter trying to be so perfect causes Jesse horrible events.
And that yeah, that's exactly what that's what I was trying to get at the beginning when you were talking about the fly is how yeah, his perfection him wanting to be a perfectionist and trying so hard it's just it causes the downfall of so many other characters
And it
throughout
all
the
comes
series.
back because in the fly, when Jesse finally kills the fly, he's like standing on the ladder and almost falling off every time. So it's like that when Walter's trying to be so perfect, Jesse's always tipping around on the ladder and taking some kind of big risk. And
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's crazy. And then the one time he becomes imperfect at the end of the show, Jesse's able to escape, just like what happened in The Fly, how he got the fly after Walter started embracing his imperfections. The writing is insane. There's so many layers. The Fly is the best episode.
It always comes back to The Fly.
Oh, it always will.
Literally and metaphorically. Yeah.
Everything in the show, like basically the whole story can relate back to what happens in The Fly. Like at least it foreshadows the ending so hard. Once you think about it, like what I've been saying, it's so well done.
If you think about it very, very deeply, yeah. But there's some people that are just not as intelligent. That's the thing. I think that's well, it might not just be that, because people watch it differently than some others. That's the other thing. But whoever watches it still will enjoy the show no matter what.
I love the symbolism of Breaking Bad. It's so good.
Yeah, and there's so much. There definitely is so much character development, and we could talk about Hank, who's a character I really wanted to talk about.
Let's talk about Hank.
Hank has developed so much from not only being one of the, just at the beginning, it's almost you almost don't really like him. Like
I didn't at the beginning. I was like, wow, this guy's kind of a dick.
But throughout the show, he just forms into this almost hero. He is like the hero that people look up to, discovering who Walter really is, how he's Heisenberg, and he's almost a character that is grounded, like one of the most grounded characters. When you would think in reality, if you met him, you wouldn't think of him as a very mature and grounded person.
See, the thing is, he's the hero of the show. He's the hero.
Yeah.
He's the good guy, the morally good guy trying to do the right thing all the time. He's the hero in the world of anti-heroes that is Breaking Bad. All the main characters in Breaking Bad are basically anti-heroes.
None of them have good morals, really. None of them.
Kind of bad people, but
whereas Hank, who wants to,
but they're the main characters, so they're going to prosper most of the time. So Hank's a hero in like a whole show based around anti-heroes, which is why he can't succeed. It's just life's tough,
It's so true about Hank, and Hank goes through a lot too. Not only being shot by the brothers they're twins,
twin cousins.
Yeah,
Tuco's cousins.
Yeah, Tuco's cousins, and so and then not being able to walk and having that struggle, and also having to deal with Walter and having to deal with him and what he's done to so many people. Like he blew up like a retirement home, and like and it's funny to realize that, because you think like, oh, he's doing it so he can get back at Gus, but like in reality he blew up a retirement home. How crazy is that? That's terrible. Like,
not only that, but
being able to understand that and be able to, like, for the audience to understand that, and that's what we like Hank more, I think.
Yeah, and see, the thing is, Walter. So the Fly more symbolizes what Walter does to Jesse. I don't think there's an episode like that with Hank, necessarily a dedicated one, like how dedicated the Fly is.
Yeah,
but you can definitely see that Walter causes Hank a bunch of struggle too. Like, for example, he's put so many things on hold to try and follow this case, but it's just been Walter doing this to him the whole time. And not only that, but had Walter not been, being a criminal and stuff, Hank would have never went looking for Jesse's RV, found Jesse's RV. Walter ended up calling calling Saul to get one of Saul's employees to call Hank and say Marie had been in a car accident. And then Hank assaults Jesse and loses his job because of Walter.
Yeah.
All of that happens because of Walter's actions. He ruins Hank. Hank was on the elevator ride after he got fired crying because he thought being a police officer would be his calling. Being in the DEA was his calling. And Walter takes that away from him indirectly through his actions.
Oh,
he breaks Hank.
He does.
He breaks Hank. He breaks Jesse. He breaks everyone who he associates with. He's a terrible person, but he's written so that we're rooting for him throughout the whole thing. He's the character.
But yeah, I think the reason we love him so much is just because he has this. I think he has such a good reason behind it, or not necessarily a good reason, but he has such a understandable reason behind it. This guy, his life has been so shitty, and finally you were able to see him prosper. He is in love with his job. He is at the top of his life. He like has he has the best sex with Skylar because of how high he is in his life too. But being able to see that and follow along Walter in this, in this ascent, or into this like uh into this like growing passion that he loves for making this, and being able to and you understand his feelings for that. And also you also see other characters that you dislike too, like Skylar and Marie, and yeah, Skylar and Marie and Todd, and
Well, one thing that's incredible as well about Skylar's writing is that the reason why everyone hates her is because she was supposed to be hated by everyone. That's her whole point, is to put.
and that's what makes you like Walter more too, is because like she's a
he's got to
dickhead to
deal.
Walter. Yeah,
He's got to deal with all this stuff, and you feel sympathetic for him, but really, like, we should be feeling sympathetic for Skylar. Like, she's going through so much shit when she's like breaking down in front of her lawyer saying, I can't let my kids know that my husband's a drug dealer, but he's making me like let him live with the kids and stuff. She can't tell the police because she's going to break her family if she does that.
yeah.
And then, of course, she waits too long and Hank is the price.
Yeah, and Hank sadly dies. And that's terrible too. It's like
to a real one.
I know what you mean. And even Maria's, like, her life has been torn apart because Hank's died too.
From Walter Jr. loved Hank so much.
Yeah,
Walter
Jr. Walter Jr. looked up to Hank as almost a father figure at times.
Yeah, sometimes even more than Walt, because he felt closer.
Totally
to Hank.
More than Walt. Yeah, because Walter's all off doing like drug deals and making meth. Like,
yeah. And he thinks his dad's like a pushover, but then he starts to think he's more and more cool,
Yeah.
First, like at the beginning of the show, when he gets caught trying to buy drinks underage, he calls Hank and says, this is my dad, I need to get picked up. And then Hank's like, well, that's not really cool that you said that I was your dad and not your dad.
And that's the thing, that Hank's not being selfish there either, because you think of him as a selfish person too, and that's what makes you like Hank more, because he's also able to understand Walter Jr. too, because like, whereas Marie and Skylar like, Walter Jr.'s drinking, he's trying to buy drinks, and Hank's just like, hey, just don't do it again.
Hank's just such a great character. He's such a good guy.
He is, even though he's a bit of a racist at times, a prejudice, but like still, he's got
a good moral compass.
Yeah,
for the most part.
Aside from being like a kind of a at times, yeah, he's just a little bit insensitive at times towards other people, but still he wants to track down Walter White. He loves his job too, as you said before, and that's what's so beautiful about Hank Schrader, is just you got Schrader Brew too. That's another awesome thing about Schrader.
That's the only reason why I like him so much, because of Schrader Brew.
We got to get some Schrader Brew, I wonder if you can buy it online somewhere. I'm sure you can.
Maybe you can get like one of those beer holders, like those ones that you have so your hands don't get cold.
Oh yeah.
And it says like Schrader Brew.
Beer cooler, yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, Hank is one of the best characters, and also he's a great actor too. He plays that role perfectly. That's the thing. At the same time, being like a douchey cop or a DEA officer, but at the same time being able to be that great hero. Even though he's some stubby bald guy, but he's like he's the greatest hero of all time. And that's the thing with like other characters. If we want to talk about Mike.
Well, hold on. Let's just cover what we've been over so far. So we talked about Walt. We talked a good amount about Jesse. We talked about Hank. Now we're probably pretty far into this podcast. How many more people do we want to talk about? Because we don't want to talk, forever, as much as
that's true. Yeah.
As much as I would love to. I mean, let's talk
about Saul Goodman, I think.
Saul Goodman and Mike, maybe.
Yeah, let's talk about those two characters.
All right.
Because they're very important to this plot. But
and then maybe Gustavo as well, if we have time. We'll try and
if we have time, yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about Saul Goodman or Mike first, because Mike is also a flawed character, similar to Hank and Walter and Jesse. Many of the characters are all flawed, which makes them more realistic to the audience and makes it more enjoyable to see and relatable.
I have
to
a
most
fun
people.
fact about Mike.
Let's hear it.
So, in the episode where Mike first appears to clean up the body,
Yeah.
originally Bob Odenkirk was supposed to be the one doing that, but he was doing another set that day, so they pulled in Mike Ehrmantraut's actor. What's his name?
Jonathan Banks.
They pulled in Jonathan Banks, and then he ended up becoming a full-on character. So it just shows how flexible the writers can be of that show. They just get in a random character for an episode that Bob Odenkirk was supposed to be in, and then they turn it into this fully fledged character who plays a large role in the series.
He does play a large role in the series. He's much more grounded and calm, and he understands that Walter is he's crazy too. He knows that he knows how he I think he understands too that Walter, he's just like sees him as a person that's just like, oh, okay, well, he's an idiot. He just, all he wants to do is just, he's got like maybe a year left of his life. He's not that special. He's just trying to do whatever he can. Mike sees him as a person that is just crazy and is doing bad things. Bad news, as Mike says. Bad news.
Bad news, Walter.
Yeah. And Mike, I love him because he's at the same time he's a badass.
He is a badass.
But he's also like
badass.
he's a grandfather too. He's in his 60s. He's got to be early 70s maybe, but
yeah,
that's what kind of makes him
Gustavo Fring's right-hand man. He's been in this business for a long time.
Oh yeah, in Better Call Saul too. He
knows the ins, the outs.
He does, and he's an awesome character. He's so likable too. But you go ahead. You talk about Mike for a second.
Mike is like, he does what he has to do. He follows orders. He's loyal to whoever gains his trust, which isn't easy to earn. And he's skeptical, he's calm, he's collected. It's just it's quite a change of pace from the characters we usually see. Less collected, more insane, maybe not insane, but more
grounded.
He's more grounded than the other characters.
Yeah.
Like, for example, Gustavo Fring is still powerful, calm, and collected, but he seems more like a loose cannon in the sense that he will take drastic measures, whereas Mike just kind of does whatever he has to do. Whereas, let's just say Gustavo Fring would take extreme measures, even if maybe they're not necessarily required, just to completely reassure that he gets his message across, whereas Mike will kind of like do whatever he has to do up until a certain point where like he'll have to, really interfere. So he's more calm and collected and grounded than other characters, but he's still a force to be reckoned with for sure.
He is, yeah, and he's also got he's a grandfather too, and that's what I think.
He's got a soft spot. He's got a soft spot.
Exactly, he does. He loves his granddaughter a lot. He'll do anything, pay for her tuition. That's what he does. He does in season 5, and he's also a character that he doesn't make drastic. He doesn't make big changes. Or
for example, he's paying all these people who are in jail to not talk, whereas Gustavo Fring or Walter even would just get them all killed. Because that's just an easier solution. But Mike is more forgiving. He realizes that these are people with families, whereas the other characters in the show don't think of them like that. They just think of them as more threats to their organizations.
Yeah, and I think, and Mike is also a very, very emotionally stable too. He's very, he doesn't, whatever he sees, he understands. He tries to look at things from both perspectives too, not only with when Jesse and Walter are disagreeing on what's his name, what Todd has just done when he kills the kid out of nowhere. He's also at the same time working on trying to help Walter, and he's a good person too. He's trying to help everyone at the same time, and but he doesn't want to hurt anyone. He doesn't want to hurt Jesse and Walter when he literally has them in has them hostage basically. and
Yeah.
Gus is just waiting to come. He doesn't make any drastic measures to hurt them in any way, but and that's what people love about him so much, and that's why he's such an enjoyable character to watch too, and he's a great actor too. Oh my
Yeah, it
god.
really is. All the actors in that show are great.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Speaking of great actors, Bobby O. We got to talk about Saul.
Saul Goodman. Saul Goodman is well, okay, so Bob Odenkirk is a little background about Bob Odenkirk. He is a comedic actor too. So he started out on a show called Mr. Nobody, a sketch comedy. He was a writer on SNL. He was a writer of The Simpsons. He's very popular and a writer of the show Mr. Nobody. He's been in Arrested Development. He's been in that show, and but he's known for his
He was in The Office.
he is in The Office. Yeah, but that's like later.
Yeah.
That's like season 9. But
It's more of just like a little cameo.
yeah. But I think they chose him for this role because it was a comedic role and a comedic part. And I think Saul Goodman also at the same time has a very comedic side to him. He's very funny. He's raunchy. He's goofy at times, but he's also this cool badass who just solves problems like this and that.
Oh, yeah.
While being sketchy at the same time.
He's a criminal lawyer.
He is, yeah. And so, but it's like he compares himself to Tom Hagen from The Godfather. You probably don't understand that
I've
reference.
never seen The Godfather.
Yeah, so in The Godfather, Marlon Brando, Vito Corleone, who is played by Marlon Brando, The Godfather, in the film has a lawyer, Tom Hagen, who gets him out of all of these legal situations, gets Michael Corleone out of all these legal situations, and makes sure that, and at the same time, these guys are in a business where they're killing people and killing people and hurting people, and in a sketchy business dealing with weapons and all sorts like that. But so that's the kind of the character of Tom Hagen in The Godfather Part 2 and 1. And whereas Saul is very, very similar to Walter White, or is very similar to that character and portrays that same similar role, like in The Godfather. And so whereas Walter White and Jesse could be Michael and Vito Corleone. And I've always enjoyed that comparison. And he even compares himself to that in one of the first episodes of Saul. But even the intro to Saul Goodman is great too. You have
that's great.
You have Badger trying to
right. Badger gets arrested,
but you see his little logo on just the seat on the
seat where Badger gets busted.
Yeah, exactly. And you just see Better Call Saul. It's hilarious, and a little fun fact about Saul Goodman's name is, I think you would know this. It's All Good Man.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's all good, man.
There you go. Yeah. It's a little known fact, but you go ahead and let's hear about Saul Goodman.
So I really like Saul Goodman again because he's a comedic relief, but I don't want to go too much into Better Call Saul, but Better Call Saul is amazing. If you liked Breaking Bad, you will love Better Call Saul. I don't know yet. It hasn't finished, but it might even end up being better than Breaking Bad. I don't know. Have to see. It's incredible though. I don't think it gets enough popularity for what it is. But enough about that. So Saul Goodman, not only is he like kind of a funny guy, he's also kind of down to earth. He's more morally intact than people like Walter, Gus, and Jesse. When given like a tough moral choice, he's always like kind of nervous, on edge, but he gets pushed over the edge by the manipulator, Walter White, of course, a lot of time. And so he is just trying to do his job. He gets a little too deep in the business, which, again, he's kind of dragged in there. So, yeah, but he's a really great character. He's so in depth. He's got so many things going for him. He's a criminal lawyer. He's a funny guy. He always gets everyone out of trouble when they need it. He's just a really interesting guy. He's a really interesting guy with crazy good skills. And it's just really cool to see his skills being put to like use in the show.
And at the same time, he's not the serious guy who's just like, all right, I got you. You know what? I got what you need to do. I'll help you right now. But he's always just like with some quick-witted joke, and the writing for him
Yeah.
is just brilliant. He's always making these pop culture references within his work, and he says these hilarious gags. And if we want to, yeah. But is there anything else you want to say about Saul Goodman though?
Well, I like the time when Jesse gets beat up by Hank and then they're in the hospital together, Jesse and Saul, and then Walter walks in and Saul goes, "You're the cute one of the group now." It's just funny little lighthearted stuff like that that makes me really like Saul.
Yeah, and that's another thing about the show is it's needed to be comedic because it's very, very dark at times,
Oh,
and
it's
they do a
very dark.
great job at adding comedic relevance to the show. And just the scene, and they also add a lot of family moments that they're personal too, where they're not just
Yeah.
following along the timeline of Walter, dealing with the drug lords and Gus and Tuco and the twins. He's also dealing with family issues at home. He's dealing with
And
Walter,
Saul does help him out with that. Yeah, for sure.
and Walter is, yeah, Walter Jr. Has like doesn't like him at times. And then Skylar is like hates him and just despises him at other times. Like throughout the show, a lot of the show, she wasn't a fan of Walter. And then even the scene where he's trying to come into the house and have pizza.
Oh, yes.
He leaves the house, throws the pizza, and except the box. Not even the box doesn't even go on doesn't go on the roof when he throws it. Just the pizza. He's somehow
The pizza roof scene.
oh, and it's hilarious. And any scene with like Badger or Skinny Pete is always pretty funny too. It's
Oh,
comedic.
yeah. Very good comedic release.
Oh, totally.
Now, do you think it's time to talk about the big bad guy of the show, Gustavo Fring?
Gustavo Fring. Yeah, Gustavo Fring.
All right. Would you like to
he's
kick
yeah
things off?
he's almost, well, he's another, I think his relation or similarities between him and Walter, they both, I feel, are perfectionists too. They have a very clean, healthy business and it's very, very hard to see Gus being a drug lord. But at the same time, once you finally get to know him, you can kind of tell he does give off that vibe of a drug lord. Um, he's at the same time of him being a one of Walter's accomplices and his dealer for Walter, he's also an enemy to Walter too.
He's a threat.
He is a threat to Walter, and it's crazy to think that though, because
Arguably I'd say arguably the biggest threat to Walter that he's ever faced.
who do you think the biggest threat? Probably Tuco.
Well, no, I mean, like, biggest threat was probably Jack and his gang, because they knew so much about Walter, and they use that to their advantage.
They do.
But I'd say he's definitely one of the biggest threats that Walter has faced in the show in terms of like his empire coming down. All the manipulation he's done, it would all be for nothing if Gustavo Fring were able to stop him, and Walter couldn't let that happen.
Exactly, and that's kind of why Gus has to die. And Gus, it's very satisfactory, his death, I feel. It's it's at the perfect time, I think, when it was needed. And he dies an honorable death, I feel. It's pretty crazy how he dies. He's got like a Two-Face,
Yeah, for real.
And it's a great shot too. It's probably very shocking for the people who watch the series.
Oh yeah, I remember when I saw that, I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think he was dead. Yeah. You see him walk out and then just like fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's at the same time a threat. He's also, being a perfectionist. He's very, very clean. And, but he's also had some trauma in his past too with, Hector Salamanca too, being another threat to him too.
Killing his best friend.
I think it was his lover.
No, I think it was his best friend.
I think Gus was gay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's entirely possible.
Like I think that was his he was in love with him though.
That could be true. I never thought about that actually. That's a pretty good theory.
Yeah, like I thought, because obviously with your friend, but like he was very, very close to him.
He was so broken too.
Yeah,
at the death.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it seemed like they like did everything together.
exactly. So
So
that's
yeah,
what I think.
actually,
It's like if you think about it, you could see it
yeah, that's
happening.
definitely not a stretch.
Yeah. And that's what I thought when I saw it. I just thought that he could have been in love with them, but like he just didn't tell anyone because
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah. Um but yeah, again, he lives a very very structured life, and that's where the comparison between Walter can be opposite, because Walter lives this ridiculous crazy life, whereas Gus is so grounded and he tries to be as safe and
Well,
natural.
Gus is also a bit more, like as I said, a loose cannon than Walter. And see, since Walter doesn't wasn't as loose when he first started, like Gus was.
Gus might have converted him to being turning into that way, though. Gus does, I think,
Well,
obviously.
I think Walter ends up turning himself that way because he realizes that in order to be as powerful as Gus, he's going to have to do stuff like that.
Make
But
those hard decisions, yeah.
by the time he starts making those hard decisions, it's too late for him because he started off by not making the hard decisions, and that came back to bite him.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
That is
Gus
true.
has always been cold, but it took Walter a while to break bad. Essentially, you see what I did there, and that's why it didn't work out for Walter, because he was too morally conflicted. He either had to pick one thing or another, and he couldn't, so he paid the price.
He did, in fact. He did pay the price. Oh man, yeah. Is that it for Gus?
I think so. Do you have anything else you want to talk about, or should we?
I wanted to talk about just the. I wanted to say something about how this show is like perfect in so many ways, and in particular, I feel the right time. It didn't overstay its welcome, and it feels so perfectly wrapped up. And I think that final episode has a great job. Baby Blue, of having just Walter with a little smirk on his face, slowly going up with a camera shot. And I love that scene at the very end, and it feels
Yeah.
so complete. It doesn't, there's no loose ends. You feel complete at the end of the show. Everyone is, you kind of understand where everyone might go at this time, but at the same time you don't. But you don't want to know.
Yeah.
You feel secure. You don't know maybe what Marie and Skylar and Walter Jr. are gonna do. You don't know what Jesse's gonna do until El Camino, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's what you're entertained by this show. That's why it's so great and perfect. But yeah, I think it's time. I have a couple questions and some trivia. Does that sound good to you?
That sounds good.
All right, so cool.
Yep.
Do you think this is the greatest show of all time?
Why you gotta ask me that, Ryan? Let me think. It's hard to say because there could be another show, maybe even a less popular one that people haven't seen as much.
I mean, it's subjective, it is
subjective. It's all subjective. I think this is probably my favorite show I've watched, but it can be compared pretty well to some other shows. Like it can be close.
Any of the animes you've seen? Like, because I know you're.
Demon Slayer was really good, but they're kind of different genres altogether.
Totally.
Like, it's kind of hard to compare an anime to Breaking Bad, at least from the ones that I've seen. That's like asking me to compare SpongeBob to Breaking Bad because it's just such a different genre. It's like SpongeBob's a really good show, or like Family Guy to Breaking Bad. They're just not the same thing.
Yeah.
But from other dramas that I've seen like that, I think Breaking Bad's got to be the king of those types of shows.
Totally. How do you like, or who do you think is the best performance in this show?
I think Dean Norris, probably.
Yeah.
I think Dean Norris. Hank is just such an in-depth character, and he goes through so many emotions that we see. I just don't think I could, like, anyone could replicate that other than Dean Norris. He expresses emotions in Hank so well. It's just, you feel so like, you feel all the emotions that the character's feeling, which is exactly what you want as an actor. You know exactly like what they're feeling, and he's just does such a great job.
Yeah, I think It's too bad he hasn't been in too much like other films recently. Like I haven't seen
Yeah.
him in a lot. He's on Cameo now, which is terrible. It
Yeah.
means he's not doing too good. To
You're
get
acting a little sus, Walter. Well,
right.
a lot of people just do that like just because it's fun, you know, and they
That's
make some money
true.
from it
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I think like Snoop Dogg's on it, so yeah.
Yeah. Kevin from The Office is on it.
Yeah. It's your birthday. Have you seen that when he that cameo?
Yeah.
Yeah. So stupid. Um, what was it? Oh yeah. So what do you think happened with Huel and QB or Kubi
I don't know
after
that.
season 5? What do you think is going on with them?
I have no idea, bro. They probably stuck together, I'd imagine, because they were seemed pretty close. So they probably just like, I don't know, found some of Walter's money and just ran away with it or something.
Yeah. Oh, you think like when like he slept on it, he just like when he was like lying down on the money, you think they just like grabbed
He
some
coulda.
yeah, he could have. Actually, I don't know. Walter could have like tracked him down and been like, Huel,
Well,
that's
he
my
was
money.
pretty scared, so he probably didn't want to do that.
All right. Favorite line of the show.
Uh uh I like when Walter says, "Getting high and masturbating doesn't constitute as plans in my book." And I also like one of the more serious ones is I really like when Hank goes, "My name is Asac Schrader, and you can go fuck yourself." That was such a cool line. It was so funny. It was like such a good way to end Hank's character.
I'll tell you my favorite. I'll tell you my favorite comedic line and my favorite dramatic line. So
All
my
right.
favorite comedic line is from Jesse, obviously. And when he goes, "Hey, you've reached 1 to the 4 to the 6 to the 9. What up, biatch? Leave it at the tone." His ringtone. That's probably the best. I love
It's
that.
such a good portrayal of like how I mean, obviously it doesn't seem innocent, but at that time, that's when Jesse is at his most innocent stage in the show before
I
Walter
know.
comes and ruins everything. Because he's like just trying to be all gang and like live his life, but then Walter makes reality slap him in the face.
I know. Yeah.
And yeah, just you see how much he changes. It's crazy.
My favorite dramatic line would probably have to be when Walter goes. I mean, it's probably everyone's favorite. Everyone knows this. It's like when he says, "I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger."
That's a
That
good one.
that's a sick line, and it's true. He is the fucking danger. He is.
Yeah.
He is like the most. Not only just like in drug wise to people, everyone he's
Yeah.
around, he does something. He affects them, and so
He
it's
destroys
it's a good
everyone.
representation of literary and metaphorically too, because he just at this he's also able to just like ruin people's lives just by just being around them.
Yeah. Another more impactful line that isn't necessarily super symbolic or anything is when right at the end of the show when Jesse's like holding the gun to Walter's head and he's like, say you want this," and
Yeah.
then Walter's like, "I want this," and then Jesse doesn't do it. He doesn't kill Walter. And that was like I was watching that and I was like, oh my gosh, bro, this is crazy. That was so intense. Like it's so emotional seeing that. And Jesse's like in tears and stuff. He doesn't know what to do.
Jesse
If
Plemons is, or not Jesse Plemons, uh
Jesse
Aaron Poehler.
Plemons.
That's the guy who plays Todd, actually.
Oh, okay.
Jesse Plemons. But Aaron Paul plays Jesse Pinkman, is one of the greatest actors.
Oh, he's an incredible actor. It's very close for me between him and Hank because they both show so much emotion. It's crazy. They're both kind of like parallel in terms of
Yeah.
you know how Walter affects them. It's somewhat similar.
Yeah. How do you think Walter Jr. and Skyler will react would have reacted after Walter's death?
Like go on. Or
After
was
Walter's death, like what yeah, sorry, that's what
you hit me with a like at the end and then just didn't say anything. So
my bad.
it's okay.
Yeah. How do you yeah.
Well, I think they probably would have been a little melancholic, like a little sad, but also kind of happy. It's a new beginning for their family without him. It was a shame. They were probably getting over the fact they probably didn't feel like they lost him there. They felt like they lost him when he killed or was the cause of death of Uncle Hank. And when he left their family, that's probably when they had to start getting over him. That's probably when he died, quote unquote, for their family. So they've probably just been like, you know what? He had it coming. We've already been getting over it. So, life moves on.
It's facts. So true. All right, so let's do let's do some fun facts.
All right,
I'll start you off. So Walter was originally written to be 40-year-olds, to be a 40-year-old, but AMC felt that 40 was too young for Walter to have a midlife crisis and requested his age changed to 50. Makes sense, though. That does make sense. Excuse me. In an interview, Vince Gilligan admitted that the writer's strike that shortened season 1 ended up benefiting the show. He planned for Walter's evil side to emerge in its shocking season finale. The strike led him to write the evolution much more gradually.
That's really good to hear.
Yeah. Thank God for the writer's strike. Like, who knows what it could have been? Like, it could have just been like mayhem, like just like crazy, just Walter just like, for like 4 seasons. Okay, here's my incredible fun fact that I wanted to tell you so badly. All right, sure. So Samuel L. Jackson showed up unannounced during filming of Polos Hermanos on the set one day, dressed in his Nick Fury outfit from the Avengers. Both productions were happening on the same studio lot, and Jackson wanted to be an extra during the scene being filmed. The producers denied his request to appear as Nick Fury on the show.
That would have been so funny.
Imagine Nick Fury
just in Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Just like walking in the background or something. That would have been so funny.
That would have been crazy. Like, that would have been, oh my God, that would have been insane if that happened. Yeah.
That would have made everyone freak out.
That'd be like, but that's just, I feel like Breaking Bad might have been like known for that. Like, after, like, oh, that's a show where Samuel Jackson's Nick Fury in it or whatever. That could be, but that's a thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it was a good decision, I think, but it would have been pretty crazy to see.
Yeah. Raymond Cruz's Tuco Salamanca would have been retained for the entire run of season 2 if Cruz hadn't landed a major role on the TV series The Closer.
That would have been interesting to see.
That would have been interesting to see.
That was a really good character too. He was crazy.
He's crazy. He's
a good actor.
No, that's the thing. I was talking about this with my dad of how crazy Tuco really is. He's insane. Like, he is just, you feel his, like, how, like, crazy he is.
Tension. You feel scared when he's on the screen. You feel
just like even just when he's like looking at someone, you feel intimidated and nervous because you don't know what he's gonna do, but you know it's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
he's not doing anything good. RJ Mitt actually has cerebral palsy in real life. His case is much milder than Walt Jr.'s. He had to learn to walk with crutches and slow down his speech to play the part. Actually. Did you know that? That he actually?
I did not know that. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Well, it would be kind of. It could be offensive to a certain degree if like somebody who didn't have cerebral. But then again, like Leonardo DiCaprio's played like a disabled person, and Robert Downey Jr.'s played a black guy. So.
Well, he played a white guy playing a black guy
even
in real
worse.
Life. Yeah.
I don't think that's much better. Actually. I think it's a little bit. It would have been. It's not as taken. It's more satirical.
Let's save it for the Tropic Thunder episode.
Yeah. My bad. All right. So, and then last one. Sony and AMC were initially reluctant to cast Bryan Cranston because of his previous comedic roles. They approached John Cusack, Matthew Broderick for the role as Walter White. When they both declined, Vince Gilligan was able to cast Cranston. However, the rumors of John Cusack being offered the role of Walter has been debunked by Cusack himself in 2020 Guardian interview when he claimed no such offer have ever came through his agents and even asked Gilligan himself, who denied making a formal offer for the role. So there you go. Yeah. So that's it for fun facts. Last segment of the night. Let's talk about the top 3 things and top 3 side characters besides Walter, and Jesse,
Jesse.
because everyone loves those two characters.
Well,
Not
mine,
loves, yeah, but yeah.
mine are definitely Hank, Mike, and Saul. Hank, because he's just such an incredible character. I mean, you heard me talking about Hank.
Yep.
Mike, same reason. Saul, he's just such a change of pace from everything else. I was going to say Gus, because Gus is such an interesting character, but compared to the more serious characters, I just don't think he is as I'm just not as much of a fan of him as I am Mike and Hank. Gus is by no means a bad character. Well, I mean, he's a bad guy, but not a bad character at all. I just think that Mike and Hank trump his character in terms of like in the show. And then Saul's just such a great comedic relief, and we see so many sides of him. It's just those are definitely my three favorites.
Yeah. So I have an honorable mention. I had to Sal. Just definitely
Sal?
Yeah. Or Saul, sorry. Oh my gosh. Saul Goodman.
Sal from the Impractical Jokers.
that's who came to my head. I didn't realize who I was talking about. I was like, Sal. It's like, wait, I had no idea. Saul. That's my honorable mention. Saul. not Sal Volcano from Impractical Jokers. He was the honorable mention. He didn't make it though but he still is a great character though, but he's still comedic, so maybe that has an effect on where I ranked him, but yeah. Hank, number 3 though. That's my third pick on top 3 things, is because Hank, he is probably, I think personally, the most underrated development throughout the show. And you mentioned that before, but he is just so interesting to watch, so much fun, so descriptive, and like characters that like aren't boring at all, and just the writing, man. That's just the writing altogether. But yeah, that's number 3. Number 2, this is gonna curveball. Todd.
Whoa, I did not see that coming.
Really?
I did not see that coming.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Let's hear it. I want to hear this.
Okay, Todd. I love Todd, and it's the same reason why because people hate Todd too. That's another character that people just despise. But it's the same reason why people hate Skylar, is because she's just such a great actor at betraying a terrible person. And that's the thing with Todd. And so I kind of respect that. And also he's just got this way that he's so simple, and he seems grounded. He talks normal. There's no like weird.
He almost seems kind of dumb.
Yeah, at times he has a crush on Lydia. I remember. He had a little thing for her. So like that's another thing that keeps him grounded and just normal. But he's also he tries to be like he's not like Gus, where Gus like talks in this like weird, just like.
Well, see, the thing is, Kyle's a psychopath. Kyle, Todd, they're like the same name basically. Todd is like, he's a psychopath. He's just completely fine living his life while he like kills people and stuff. And he's just like, oh, I got a crush on you. You're pretty cute. And then he goes and like shoots a kid, and he doesn't even faze him.
It doesn't. Yeah. And that's what makes him so psychotic. But at the same time, you just don't believe he's psychotic. And
he's amazing. Just so down to earth and like grounded. Like you're saying.
And that's, I think it's like, it's almost satirical of how he is so psychotic, but it just doesn't act the part, because that can be bad. Whereas like, but I think it's on purpose. It's obviously on purpose. Like sometimes you want the people to look crazy and act crazy, like the Joker, like in The Dark Knight.
Tuco Salamanca.
And Tuco, and even Gus. Like Gus gives off vibes that are just like, don't want to mess with him.
Yeah.
But my number 1 pick is gotta be Mike.
Mike's a great character.
Mike, he's so likable. I don't have to talk about him too much, because he's such a likable character.
Yeah.
And no matter what, yeah, no matter what the scenario is, you're always kind of rooting for him on the side, even though you're following along Walter White. You like Mike.
You
Like
do.
Mike.
You
Yeah,
like Mike.
you do. All right. That sums it up for the podcast of today
Thank
of
you,
Breaking
everyone, for
Bad.
tuning in.
All right, guys. Yeah, thank you so much, Cole, for
I
coming on
look
the show.
forward to being on the show again. I hope
Yeah.
this will make amends for the podcast that was about The Office. I really hope the fans can forgive me for that one.
I would just like to clear up something about that was probably the worst podcast I've ever done, guys. I'm sorry about that.
I hope you guys can forgive me with this
Yeah.
one. I went hard on this one, okay?
He did, yeah. He did not disappoint for this episode. He redeemed himself.
Thank you, Ryan.
You're welcome. But yeah, I will definitely have you on again, Cole. It was a lot of fun talking about Breaking Bad.
It was.
I look forward to more discussions.
Me too.
All right. Sounds good. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, or subscribe on YouTube. You can follow me on TikTok too at the same name, There Will Be Movie Reviews. You can email me at the same name, There Will Be Movie Reviews at gmail.com for, episodes that you'd like to see in the future and maybe some tips or whatever it is, But yeah, and make sure to listen on Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. They're all there. But yeah, that pretty much sums it up for today. Thanks again, Cole. It was a lot of fun.
No problem, Ryan. Goodbye, everyone.